welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records. Akashic, we laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Consciousness is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, passing it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
What does that mean, Des? Is he fucking sure? Are you making fun of me? You want to go? I'll take this outside.
I'm making fun of Cassidy on that one.
I'm not afraid of you. I'll fight you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Great to see you, Katie.
I'm not going to pretend to be in a good mood because we're doing a stupid podcast. I'm not. I'm going to do me. I don't like that whole idea that we're like, oh, and smiley. No, it's not like that.
It's all like that today.
It's not like that. I'm frustrated by tech and snow tires, and none of that has anything to do with our podcast sucking in any way. It has to do with this is hard for me, and I'm bad at it, and I feel vulnerable being bad at it and impatient. And my fucking car slid off the fucking road twice this week, two times.
Again?
And so now I have to get I have what do you call it? All-wheel drive now, which I traded my whole car in to have. And apparently that's not enough. I have to have also snow tires. That is going to, guess how much that's going to cost? $1,100. I'm not going to let you guess. Except I'm going to make like 9 more phone calls and try to find some that are more like 800 because that seems to make more sense to me. So there's a lot going on and it's okay. I'm allowed to be frustrated.
You are.
Sometimes a hard time when you guys give me a hard time for being frustrated because I'm like, let me just be frustrated for 2 seconds and then I won't be anymore.
Fair enough. The challenge is knowing when joking is what we're doing or whether or knowing no right now is I actually need this space.
That's fair.
Yeah. Because sometimes shit giving is an act of love.
That's fair.
And sometimes and I want to acknowledge 100% because what you just did is you went time out. I actually need to not joke right now because I'm sad.
I'm actually like having a hard moment and then getting shit for it. And I'm like, I'm just having a hard moment and please don't attack me for it.
Right.
But I think you thought I was more joking than I felt.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a good point in general to think about of like, I think too, for me, it's so new in my life that I will actually admit to people that I care about that I'm like, I'm not happy, mad, hurt, scared, sad.
Yeah.
Because it's just been so not allowed in my reality for a long time. And so it's so new for me to just say that. And I don't know if you guys relate to this, but I've always admired people. Like I'd be in social situations and someone would be like, no, fuck you. Fuck off. And somebody would suddenly be having an argument and I'd be like, what? You could say that? You could say, I don't like what you're doing, or you could say, I'm frustrated by this technology. I didn't even know people did that for a lot of my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I also think though, that there's something to being able to do that in a way that claims the space instead of having it to turn into a fight. If you can say like, wait, time out. Hey, what you just said actually hurt me, and here's why.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than,
fuck you.
You're going to give me shit, and I'm going to give you shit back. And then we never actually talked about the thing that was actually going on, which was
no. I'm not talking about fighting badly. I'm not saying I envy people who are shitty to each other and don't know how to be.
I just wanted to make sure.
I envy people who go like, I'm having a hard moment. Please. I'm just like telling the fucking truth when the truth isn't pretty. Or the truth isn't what you wish it were. Like, I feel like Desmond now thinks I'm a bitch because I was having a moment. Or then I was for a second like, Desmond does not respect me or like me because he is attacking me while I am having a hard moment. But none of that is happening. And instead, I think what was happening is we all thought we were playing, but I was actually having a hard moment. So no.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it badly.
It's like we're all puppies, like puppies that roll around and then suddenly one goes, no, ow, that actually hurt. You bit me.
Yeah. I think too, I'm just going to be transparent about all the things I'm having a hard time with. Can we start there?
Yep.
Because I think that's really what's going on. I'm like, I'm going to cry too. We're going to put tears in the podcast. Welcome. And then we're going to get even weirder and talk about we need people to like us.
We're going to have a marketing discussion live on the air.
Yeah. I'm having a lot of feelings of loneliness out here in my beautiful castle in the middle of fucking nowhere. And I'm feeling what oftentimes feels like this beautiful sort of solace out here feels like a terrible mistake I've made and a lonely fucking fortress of nothing good. And I'm about to get my period. That's real. And I said some stuff to a friend of mine, and we message each other back and forth, and she was messaging back, and it sounded like she was mad at me. And then it turned out she wasn't. So I spent a bunch of hours thinking a dear friend was upset with me. She wasn't. She was just upset at life.
Yeah.
Like we were just talking about. And I'm heavier. I'm at like my top weight that I've been in a long time, and I feel unattractive. I'm pretty sure I'll be like fat and alone forever. And I have a date tomorrow, and like I couldn't get my eyebrows waxed because I thought at least if I can make my stupid eyebrows look good, maybe this stupid man will be stupid interested in me. And then I'm mad at myself for giving a fuck. I feel like a bad feminist. Like I'm chubby and deal with me. I don't feel that way. I feel just fat and gross. And then the snow fell a lot. And that means I have to like stay home more because the driving is so unsafe. And that makes me feel trapped. And it's just starting to lighten up. But then I just saw the weather report before we started talking. Come here. Come on. My dog is trying to get on the chair, and it's going to snow again tonight. And I'm like, everything is terrible. I can't eat brownies to feel better because I don't want to be pudgy anymore. So I feel like I have no solution except to be miserable and alone forever.
Those are all really awful and valid feelings. I mean, I know that's a trite thing to say, but fuck, everything you said is so fucking true. Like, of course, those are all feelings that are occurring. And I know that you know that they are just feelings and they aren't the truth. They're just one of the many truths, but still.
They feel really true. I wish they were untrue.
Yeah, I get you.
They feel really real. And I feel like my cat is like losing her mind. She like won't go outside because it's so cold, and she usually goes indoor, outdoor. So she's behaving all crazy inside and breaking shit and knocking things over. Mercury retrograde is happening, and like my business always slows down. My finances are slower when I'm not kidding. Like whenever there's a Mercury retrograde, people stop booking stuff, classes get smaller. It's very uncanny. So that's scary, when finances slow down.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wow, it's because I'm out here in the middle of nowhere and I'm not connected to humanity. So I don't have the engine that I usually have to create. So I feel like everything's kind of piling on top of everything else and just making me feel like I'm spiraling down into a hole of what's the point of anything? And usually what I would do is get into the records and let the light elevate me. That's what I would do. But in the last bunch of days, it's like I haven't been having a lot of luck with that. Like it's not working the same way it used to, which I think has to do with where I am on the earth. And I think it has to do with the ways that I'm being changed by the location on the earth that I'm sitting in. Like I'm in the middle of some like deep shit for my cell process stuff.
Uh-huh.
And it seems to be altering. I don't know how to frame it. It's my relationship in the records has been different. I seem to get a lot of traction for other people right now and not any for myself, which is hard. And I can't explain it. And I don't have a solution. So I feel sort of like adrift with no solution.
Do you have another person like you that you could call on? Like, since your source isn't hitting you, that there's someone else because who could give you some of theirs. I know that's not exactly how it works. Maybe my language is a little strange, but yeah.
No, you're not totally off. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I could at least talk with someone about what they see happening for me. Like there's some very deep shift happening for me that I think is I don't know how to frame my own relationship to what I'm used to framing everything to. So that's a scary, like, I don't know, maybe normal people just like talk to their friends and process their feelings, but I like go to God, but it seems to not be working right now.
God's not answering.
Yeah, it's really, I've never.
I mean that jokingly and totally seriously at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. I've just never been in this position before where the main tool I have for like feeling good isn't working. I'm pretty scared.
Yeah. I mean, knowing that it's still working for you, for other people means that like your connection is clearly not broken. But like, I think you said something very important about that you're in a position, you're in a transitional space, you're in a space of change. And like when those things happen, I know that our old ways of doing things stop being effective, but we keep using them because they're what we know.
Stop what?
They stop being effective, or they stop working, or they are no longer serving us. But we, of course, keep using them because they're what we know until we get a new set of tools that go along with the changed you. So you're in that liminal space right now where it's like, like obviously you still have you still have a connection to the divine and to the light, but the way in which you're asking it to work for you is no longer working. And that is scary.
I mean, I don't know if it's no longer working or if like it's changing or if it's asking something of me that's different or if it's temporarily not working or permanently. Like, I don't know.
Right.
And I don't know. I really, really don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's possible that the divine's like, oh, you need to take care of some of this shit on the emotional, psychological level.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to do. I'm not going to help you right now because that wouldn't be in your best interest or something.
Or I've had that idea. That's a good point. Or another version of it that's come to me is that it's almost like until this thing something on the 3D level has to get handled or met with or something so that I can, like, it has to be dealt with first before it's almost like something in the wiring needs to be rewired so that the new, I want to talk about this, how I actually experience it, but I know that you guys won't relate. So I'm feeling a little self-conscious. I'm feeling
we might not relate, but we can at least understand the concept. And I think that's what you're here to do, is to introduce us all to a concept that we might not grasp ahead of time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I feel a lot better, by the way, just telling you guys how I felt. Thank you.
We've talked about that before, how fucking weirdly empowering just the act of speaking the words can be to a receptive space.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. I'm just going to say this, how I experience it. Right. So when I was in California, my relationship to the earth was wildly different. This place here is like I'll put it like this. When I was in California, I couldn't feel the earth, couldn't find it. And part of that was, anyway, I couldn't. So what I could find was the divine through the upper chakras, up in the upper realms, and creative self-expression, very available, but no earth. And then I came here and all of a sudden there was all this earth energy, but not only was there earth energy, the earth was contributing divine light up through the bottom of me into my body, healing my womb specifically. And it's almost like this place is a portal of light that means that every minute and everything left and right, what I mean by left and right is like all the space around my body. I don't know why this makes me cry, but is already like the frequency of the Akasha. It's the frequency of when I open the records, it's everywhere around. So going into the records is like going nowhere. It's just, I'm already there. And so the only thing left to do is receive from the earth and be with what's here for me, which I'm confused about because what's there, when I was in California, it felt like there was literally, Cass, like nothing left that was upset within me. There was no, I had cleared all this trauma, and I kept sharing with you guys about, remember I said like there was this moment, and after that moment, there was nothing. I'm used to spending the last 25 years just, okay, now we're going to clear that. Now we're going to clear this. I could feel everything that needed clearing. And then there was literally a moment in time where I went, that was the last one, which was very surreal for me. But then I moved here and there's a whole different, I have access to like almost like a totally different realm of problems in myself that I think I couldn't feel in California, because the earth here is so specifically designed to, this valley, this portal, it's designed to heal the womb. It's designed to make us aware of the body in a really fucking potent way. Okay, I'm just going to take 1 second to actually cry. I'm okay.
And you don't have to be.
This is going to pass. I just need a second. It's funny how these tears were not available to me before I started talking to you guys. And then all of a sudden, I can't turn them off.
I definitely experienced the need for like a place for them to be directed.
Yeah.
Because if you do it by yourself, I guess you might die. Like that's how I feel. If I start crying by myself, I might die. So I don't know if that's what you experience, but yeah.
No, it's more like right now, it's more like the thing that you've said before, where you've said like, remember you've said in the past that like, sometimes you literally can't cry unless it's relational.
Yeah.
I've never been that way, except now I seem to be.
Now you understand it. Yeah.
1 second. Let's remove this knot.
This is all staying in. This is all the snot sounds. Yeah. This is important.
Well, I mean, what else? I mean, what could be more honest than the healer person saying, I'm all fucked up. I'm all fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm a human too. I'm a goddamn human.
Yeah. You definitely have. I mean, let's just be honest, Katie. You also survived an additional trauma lately, a huge additional trauma. You went through an intensely traumatic space. So like, even if you might have new wounds that need healing, like that's this, it's not all, we just got to keep working at it. But I do think you should, I think you should talk to somebody, but no. But like, it sounds like your stuff isn't as available to you in the way you are used to it being available to you.
Yeah.
And that has got to feel fucking strange.
It's scary. It's like, I really don't know what to make of it. Like, except that as I'm saying all that to you, I'm like, I think I am getting worked on so powerfully in my body. Particularly, I feel it in the womb space that like, it won't feel the way I'm used to it feeling until that womb space is lighter. And it may never feel like I'm used to it feeling. It may have to be like that I have to adjust to a whole new paradigm of what quote unquote feeling better feels like.
Yeah.
Because I am getting more grounded and more integrated with all this work I've been doing here. I've been doing a lot of parts work with my naturopath, and I've been doing a lot of therapy with my therapist, and the earth here is working my womb every fucking night at 3 a.m. like I've told you guys. So I feel like I am being transformed into someone I don't recognize.
Woo.
Yeah. And the person I was for so long, it's all I knew about how to live. So I sort of feel like, wow, I don't know how to walk as this new individual. I don't know what this individual does for comfort. I don't know what this individual, it's like totally a whole new thing. And sometimes I think, wow, the universe is amazing for bringing me here, because I would literally have never found this level of womb healing and face this stuff in my body 3D had I not moved here. I wouldn't be feeling this. I wouldn't be processing this. That's in my good moments. That's how I frame it. In a lot of moments, I frame it like I've made a terrible mistake. This is so fucked up. I had it going so good in California and then I left. Why? Those are my not great moments.
I have a thought about something you said a little while ago, and it kind of frames into this. And that is, you said that the sort of just the valley, the surrounding there is like at the vibrational level of the Akashic Records. Now, I personally don't like viscerally understand what that means, but I get it in a conceptual way. So, and when you were in California, you weren't experiencing that.
Right.
And as a result, like going to the realm was special.
Yeah.
It was significant.
Yeah.
When you tapped into that space, when you visited that space, you could see the difference between that and this.
Right.
And so when you did work on yourself, or when you asked for that help, it was palpable because it was different than what you were living in the 3-dimensional day to day.
That's right.
But if you are now really constantly swimming in that ocean, there's no ocean for you to visit that's as obvious. So you're not going to Hawaii anymore. You're living in Hawaii, swimming in the Hawaiian surf. Look at that cat. Your cat is exploring the entire kitchen above the cabinets.
That's like 17 feet off the ground. Carry on.
Yeah.
I'm in the ocean. I'm not visiting.
Yeah, it's like when you visited Hawaii, you swim in that ocean, you're like, holy shit.
Right.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
You live in Hawaii, it's still awesome, but you don't notice how awesome it is when it on the regular. So total theory, just tossing that out there as a point of
no, that's what I hear you, and that's what I've been thinking is the case. It's just that if that's the case, I don't quite know what to do with that. Like,
yeah. All
right. So then I have to feel this kind of low grade, not happiness, like this, like low, I'm not happy. So like, at least in California, it was like, things are so difficult and shitty around me. I have to go to this special place to feel good.
Yeah.
So I would go to the special place and feel good. Now I'm like, there's nowhere to go.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
This is dumb, but the first time I ever saw a Cirque du Soleil show, my head was blown out of my ears. I was orgasmic. I was like, what am I seeing? This is so amazing. And I was lifted as a result of it. Even the second time I went, that level dropped to 30% of the original feeling. And I was very disappointed. And I don't think the show was worse. I don't think it was a bad show.
Yeah.
I think that I was experiencing the very, PKU version of what you're saying. But I mean, it was significant. Like from holy shit, that was magic. And then when I was living in it, I was actually disappointed to be at an amazing thing.
Right.
Which then it made me not want to see a Cirque du Soleil show again, which sucks because it's awesome.
You ever heard Brian Regan? Motherfucker.
Brian Regan, motherfucker. Okay.
Cat, did you see what the cat just did?
Just jumped from a 12-foot cabinet to the floor. It's a cat.
Fuck you. It was special.
It was special. It was magic. You need something special to be happening. I hear you.
No, what I'm saying is she doesn't ever do that.
Oh,
ever.
So she is freaking out.
Yes.
Doing crazy shit.
Yeah, I'm not just needing that to happen. That's happening.
Okay.
She's been up there like a single other time. And she was so freaked out when she went up there the first time that I had to get on a ladder and get her down. Because she was like, I'm freaked out, and just didn't move forever. So this time, the fact that she went up there again, facing her own fear of death, and then leapt down mid chit chat is noteworthy.
I believe your cat is talking to you.
Okay. I'm serious. She never does.
I am too. I think your cat's telling you something. I don't know what it is.
I don't either.
Something you just said, stepping into the place that you fear and then leaping. I don't know. There's something there.
There's something. She's mirroring something. But what I was going to say is on the Comedians in Cars episode with Brian Regan, there's two of them. Can't remember which one it is. He has a Cirque du Soleil bit. They're like sitting at a cafe and he's like, yeah, I'm working on a thing where it's like, you know, the guy in charge of Cirque du Soleil, the premise of the joke is like, he's never said no to anything. Like his creative team comes to him and they're like, okay, elephants come from the sky with helicopter landing pads on their backs, and helicopters land on the elephants, and monkeys playing the kazoo leap out of the windows of the helicopters, spitting gold fire from their assholes. And the leader of Cirque du Soleil goes, yes. But it's told by Brian Regan and it made me laugh so hard. Sometimes I will put that episode on and just listen to him say that over and over again. It makes me laugh every time.
I have to check that one out. I love that.
Every time.
Maybe that could be your new meditation.
You are taking this too lightly.
I'm not. I everything I'm saying with a little bit of flip has an absolute bit of truth in it. If it's giving you joy, what if it became a thing that you put in your ears to give you joy?
No. I just need empathy. I just need you to get it and empathize. It doesn't need to be funny or interesting. It feels like you're making fun of me.
I hear that. I hear that you think I'm making fun of you. I'm actually responding to the things you are saying and enjoying them.
But fliply.
I don't know how to respond to that because I don't think I'm being dismissive.
What?
I don't think I'm being dismissive, which is what I think flip is.
What's the difference between flip and dismissive?
I think they are related. I think what I'm doing, like what I just said, actually I meant. I don't think I'm, and you can say, no, that's a dumb idea. And I agree with, then I can go, oh, okay, it's a dumb idea. But I don't think I'm tossing things like little hand grenades.
I didn't think it was a dumb idea. I think the way you said it felt like, flip. Like the content was just fine. It was how you said it was like, I'm going to blow off what you just said because what you said doesn't matter. That's how you said it landed that way over here.
Gotcha.
Did you mean it?
No, of course not. No, that's what dismissive is. I don't think I'm being dismissive. I don't think I'm blowing off what you're saying at all.
You're not intending to.
No.
What are you intending to do? So I understand.
I'm intending to reflect back to you what you're saying in supportive ways and engage in conversation, I think.
You think? No, I'm asking sincerely.
No, I honestly don't know. I don't know what the next piece of my thought is in this at this point. I think I'm engaging in conversation with you, but I feel like whatever tone I'm taking is landing as dismissive and flip and not respecting of where you're coming from.
Okay, yes. I'm just needing to hear you say something like, no, I seriously mean it and I care about how you feel right now.
Yeah. 100% I care about how you're feeling right now.
Okay.
I am all the way engaged in hearing what you're saying and feeling for you and feeling empathy and sympathy and all the things for what it is you're saying.
I appreciate that.
And I mean that 100% without a smile.
That was happening for you. I needed to know you actually give a shit because when I feel like someone's being flip in the face of a real feeling I'm having, it feels really shitty. It makes me feel like, wow, I don't matter at all here. Okay.
Yeah.
Like we're making joke. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't want to use the thing I'm about to say to now make it not matter that I need you to care.
Yeah.
But I am menstrual. So I am extra needing that now and extra verbal about needing it.
Yeah.
Where I might need it in general and say it in a much less hurt feelings way if I weren't as hormonal as I am right now.
Right. Yeah, that's real.
Thing about being a woman where we're like, do not like women, when dudes do that thing, or other women or goats, whoever does this.
Goats do it.
When somebody says to a woman like, oh, you have your period, so none of this is real.
Right.
You might as well push yourself off a cliff.
Yeah.
I'm about to for you in a second.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can recognize me in this moment as the female that I happen to be, I can recognize that everything's heightened right now.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is that it's just, of course it's real. It just is maybe turned up.
Yeah.
The knob is turned up 3 ticks higher than it's like
usually
maybe it's slightly out of scale or something, but it doesn't mean it's not real at all. It's totally real. In fact, it makes it more apparent.
Yeah.
It actually maybe is doing you the service of saying, by turning itself up, it's saying, no, fucking real. This is serious.
Now, okay, I've had a theory my whole life, because this is how it feels to me whenever I get my period. Whatever I've been avoiding feeling or saying the whole month comes out during the period time. And I won't always even know I haven't been saying or feeling something until I find myself feeling and saying it in the period time. And then I'll be like, wow, I'll remember like 8 times from the previous month that I felt it, but like pushed it aside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is such a weird experience to have. It's almost like you have a few days a month as a woman where you're on an acid trip. And then men have to live with us and go, what the fuck is happening? She wasn't on acid yesterday.
I mean, apparently we also have,
right.
Male-bodied folk also have a cyclical and hormonal thing that happens, but it's just not as measured or measurable, which is weird because all science is based on men's bodies. So, we're the only ones that pour money into things like, for whatever, anything that benefits the men is where all the money goes. But like I've definitely been in a space where I was like, what is happening? I understand the emotions, but they feel way turned up in a way that doesn't feel like I can control. And it actually feels biological as much as it does emotional and mental.
Yeah.
And so I can only say that like maybe that is akin somewhat to that feling that you have.
I mean, I've heard the same thing, that men go through a thing every month. I wish it would be like, I think it would help with equality in the world if men had to go through it the way we have.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. If we had to actually suffer physically and stuff something up a hole and
also like have it turned so high up that the world around you judges you for it and tells you not to do that.
And knows about it also.
And knows about it but doesn't have to go through it, so they don't have any empathy for it. Like, it'd be cool if men could go through that.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, there's so much. Like, I know about it and I can judge you for it. And I also don't want you to talk about it, but I can make jokes about it also at the same time.
Fuck.
Like all the bullshit.
I think too, now that you say that, thank you for saying that, Cass, because I'm like, wow, right as you said that, I just had a bunch of things click into place where I went, oh, I'm actually being out here has me confronting everything in my life that was so painful that the only way I could deal with it at the time was to just push it aside and not let it be painful, or to bulldoze forward. And now sitting here in this weird fucking vortex of womb healing light, it's all there. And I'm going to be more specific. You just made that all click into place. Oh my God, you're changing my life right now, Cass. Thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah, for real.
And by the way, a second ago when we had that talk through the uncomfortable thing, I like fully feel better about it. That was all I needed. I feel really good.
Yeah.
Do you need anything around that?
No, I appreciate the push to clarify. This is the shit that we are terrified to do 99% of the time, which is to clarify beyond the, you know what, it's fine.
Yes. Yes.
Because it could also have just been fine. You could have been like, okay, you're not doing that. It's fine, whatever. But no, there was actually more. So we say, hold on. Nope. One step more.
Yeah.
And we can get to the place where neither of us is attacked or attacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's important shit. It's important shit and hard.
Well, and I want to make sure if there's any push more that you have or need. I did a lot of push. If you have any, I'm here.
I'll let you know. If it pops up, I'll try and speak up.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I said what I was saying because I was
okay.
I think I sort of did feel the need to say, no, I'm not being an asshole.
Yeah.
You're calling me an asshole and I'm not being an asshole. I actually meant that, but yes, I do use humor sometimes to diffuse the emotions.
Well, I didn't think you were being an asshole. I felt you were being flip.
See, to me, someone who's being flip is generally being an asshole. These are all just words. Yes.
No, but it matters because that's how I was holding it.
Right.
I wasn't like, what an asshole. I was like, why is he blowing me off right now?
There you go. That, and I think I'm defensive to that thought.
Yeah.
That someone would say I'm blowing them off like that. Whoo, no. Are you? No. What? That's no. Like that's like an accusation to me, for me. So I'm glad that we clarified it because it did feel like if I'm doing that, that's a terrible thing on the list of things that I don't like to do.
Yeah.
Dismiss somebody's truth. Whoosh.
But instead it was like, how would you frame it if you would say your language? It wasn't being flip. It was.
I was using a humorous tone, but what I was saying was actually genuine. I actually did like the thing about, using that as a meditation was not sarcastic, was actually like, what if you took in some content that gave you comfort is I think where I was coming from.
So the humorous tone
is just the tone that I just wasn't because you were talking about a comedian and we were talking about comedians in cars doing coffee. Like that was, we're in a comedy conversation. So then I'm going to be like, hey, comedy conversation back at you.
I feel you.
Yeah. Like you had just finished saying, oh, sometimes I'll just listen to it and laugh. So I was like, oh, great.
I see.
Da 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 da. And then suddenly it was like, no, that's not what I'm saying. Oh, okay. Then I misread what you were saying.
No, that makes 100% sense.
Yeah.
That makes 100% sense. God, fuck being a person. Okay.
It's so messy. It's so messy.
That clarified everything for me. So that brings me back to the thing I was not quite finished saying that I interrupted myself in saying, which was that here's the piece that clicked in when you said whatever other thing you said. I realized like I was going to give some specific examples, like every single time in professional theater, when someone, usually a man.
No, sorry, truth.
Thank you. Would look at me, I could feel in the room that they were deciding against me. Like they were, I'm not talking about in casting. I'm talking about, let's say I'm already in a production. And by being a female who says something opinionated or strong in a room, all the years, and you can imagine how many there would be if you're me, of getting the side eye and then being sort of socially rejected by people for not being a normal female, whatever the fuck that is.
Whatever the fuck that is.
Well, but I'm saying, I don't believe in that as a real thing, but people behave at me as if that is a thing and I am definitely not it.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. Being out here in this fucking vortex of healing light, specifically geared toward healing the womb. I told you the story about how those healers came through this town and like announced to the local healers that this is the womb of the world.
Yeah.
That shit continues to blow my mind. But anyway, I think what's happening is there's this huge amount of womb healing happening for me. And I've got all this like charged up woman trauma that I've been so quote unquote good at in the patriarchy, just blowing past and being like, well, I'm not going to get hung up on my woman stuff and be that woman. I'm just going to flow in and be like, you're right. I'll adapt to your weird fucking rules about what women should be, guy at the head of whatever fucking room I'm in. And I definitely shouldn't be angry about it because that makes me an angry feminist. And you can't be an angry feminist because then you definitely don't get cast in plays. But nobody's ever acknowledging the part where it's like, You know why I'm angry? You're a dick.
Right. My anger is not the problem.
Right.
Your fucking behavior, the way you even run this fucking room is the problem. The tone that you set at the first day of rehearsal is the problem.
Yeah.
The way you speak to all the members of your cast is the problem.
Yeah.
Specifically the women, but also anybody who is not the fucking director. Sorry, that's my. Yes.
Go.
Yeah. It's the director, but it's also everybody. It's any and everybody. And it's sometimes the actor, like the lead or whatever. Just the way people fucking talk to each other. That goes to two things. Something that Carlos said on Facebook, loving Carlos's little pronouncements on Facebook, and also what Biden said when he was swearing in a bunch of his new staff members.
What did he say?
So Carlos said, when we get back to work, basically, I'm done. I'm not having it.
Yeah.
You are not going to yell at anybody in the cast. You're not going to treat me with anything except absolute equal. We'll be in the room as equals. Fuck your director. I'm actor. Those are all members of this staff. He didn't say, I'm extrapolating from what he said.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he just said, no, not if I'm in the room and you yell at me, if you yelled at me on the street, I'd say something. So why don't I do it in this fucking room?
Can I pause there for a second before you go to Biden? Because that's so good. And I remember when he posted that and I fucking give him so much credit. I'm thinking right now about okay, let me, there's 8 thoughts at once. One is the parallels between woman in a man's world, person of color in a white person's world, and how tricky it is to talk about it because I'm white. So I have the privilege of whiteness, but I'm a weird woman. So I am not privileged in the world of manness. In fact, I am fucked in the world of manness.
Yeah.
In the patriarchal white man structure that we all are referring to here. My point being, I've seen shit where women, this is where I'm confused. When I read that Carlos thing and I go, God, I relate to that in the woman-man dynamic way where I'm like, no more. The challenge is there's many challenges. One of them is when it comes from another woman who's in power, in a position of power, which she feels she got by having to play by the rules that the toxic masculinity established. So now she's upholding the toxic masculinity structure at you, the lady in the room, because she got beat down.
Yep.
Now, how do I speak truth to that power?
I mean, it's this white man here very much saying, from what what you just said is so true. What you just said is it's about the structure that exists that they're still working within. They are still working within the white supremacist patriarchy, which is endemic to the theater because theater is, as much as it's collaborative and art and all that shit, it's also so hierarchical. It is both hierarchical and starved of resources.
Yeah.
And starved of resources in a hierarchical setting means everything is urgent. We have to get things done quickly. Nobody's getting paid enough. We all have to fight for our scraps. So that director, that, like you said, if it's a woman, she had to fight to get there. So she's going to uphold that structure that is now holding her up, barely.
That's right.
And if it's a woman of color, same thing could happen. Absolutely. And it has happened and it does happen because we're defending our position. And you're going to do it if you're the lead. I hope you won't, but people are going to do it if they're the lead in the show and there's people who aren't the lead. Or if you're a veteran chorus member versus a newbie. Or you're going to do it. People are going to find ways to fucking defend their hard-won position.
Yeah.
Because they're in a resource-starved, hierarchical system that is put in place to make you barely survive. That's fucking what we see it in the political. We see it at every level of our life.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the job of the fucking capitalism. It's the fucking job is to keep you scared.
That's right. Thank you. Yes, preach. Yes to you, sir. Really. And I want to add one other thing, and then I want to go back to your Biden thing.
Yeah.
And thank you, fucking Carlos, for fucking being who you are. Shout out to MC Infinite for being a brilliant ass rapper, artist, and just a fucking truth telling badass. And please listen to our episode with Carlos, which I don't remember the name of.
Episode 33. It's not yours.
They just dropped an awesome indigenous, the collective that Carlos is part of, the Bay Area Theater Cipher, just dropped this amazing video with an indigenous theme. And Carlos's fucking verse on that is fire. So good. You also watch it.
He's so fucking good.
Yeah. Just find it. I don't know. Indigenous Excellence. It's called Indigenous Excellence. Bay Area Theater Cipher. There it is. Now they can go find it.
Yeah, and if you look up MCEMCEE Infinite on Instagram, you can find him that way too.
Yeah. Anyway, back to your point.
So no, that was important. We need to, something they do in Armchair Expert that I love is every couple episodes, they each plug a POC business.
Oh, I love that.
They go, I just bought this t-shirt from this Black owned business called blah, blah, blah. I think we should do some of that. Like something in that. We
learn
need to
from the best.
Like, right? Yeah. We're the white people. What voices can we uplift here?
100%.
So, okay. The other one is watching. So I was just going to give one other example of a thing that I'm in this moment realizing my womb is releasing. And this grief I have at being where I live is a large part of like all this old repressed emotional stuff that has to do with just my life experience. I think I'm getting clarity that my old childhood trauma and the like really dark abuse that happened, that stuff is out of my system to some large degree, right? But this is like all the life stuff that I was too busy healing my childhood trauma to even like fucking own was painful or not okay.
Yeah.
And another one is, so the woman in power has to be a man, treats you shitty as a woman because the thing we just said. The other one is watching men around you who are less intelligent, less competent, less talented, rise in positions of power inside of a system where there's 5 other women around him who you're like, she was here a lot longer and is a lot more articulate. I'm a lot more articulate and better at this than this fucking clown. Rise in the ranks and run shit. Where it's like, you see clear as day that it's happening because that person was literally the only close to white man or just man in 50 miles in the field.
Yeah.
So he just wins because he's a fucking man. But I'm going to be an angry lesbian feminist bitch if I own that I feel that way.
Yeah. Oh, so, you're just bitter. Sour grapes.
Right. Why didn't you just try harder? Or
motherfucker.
Right? And it's like, it's not about try harder a lot of the time. It's about either become who they want you to be and play their game that you can see is toxic and fucked, or totally build your own system outside of that, which is a huge undertaking. It is not a small thing to be like, yeah, I'll move to another state and start a theater company. That's a big project that involves like a lot of people and funding sources, a lot. Why? Because dudes have unfair advantage? Fuck you. And I'm so tired of not getting to say fuck you about it. And it's not to you, it's to it, you know?
You can even say fuck you to me on this topic because I think we've all got some fucking darts to take for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. I remember when a Asian male actor friend of mine and yours once was explaining to me, he was real sick of this girl he was dating. And he said this sentence to me. We're like good buds. And he says, I'm a white lady. And he looks at me and he goes, I'm so done dating white chicks. And I remember being like, what? What are you saying? Like, what do you even mean by that? And he was like, and then he told me what he meant. He was like, well, here's how white women behave toward me as a mixed race, half Asian man.
Yeah.
white women dismiss me. They assume I have no dick. They tell me they think I have no dick. Like small dick is like a judgment that
right. And then they make that joke or say that thing.
Yeah, to your face when you're Asian or part Asian. They don't see us as real men, and they'll tell us that. He's like, I've had white girls break up with me and say like, I just need somebody who gets it. And he's like, gets what? You know, and he had thing after thing after thing. And as he was telling me, this was before Black Lives Matter and before COVID. And it was really helpful for me because I would never have said any of that, but I was definitely carrying some of it latently.
We do. Yeah.
And it was really good for me to hear it out of his mouth. So in that same vein, like he was like, no, I'm not going to be a quiet Asian man now and be like, white women, I'm not mad because that makes me mad. It's like, yeah, no, I'm mad because you're fucking up.
Yeah, right. And you don't want to be, you know, whatever, painted with that same broad brush. Oh, but not all white women. Fuck you. Just take the hit and keep dating because you're fine in that regard. Like it doesn't actually in any way hurt you. It doesn't hurt me at all in any way. For you to say white men have been fucking shit up and here's how, like, and in fact, to just say fuck white men for a second is okay. Apparently it's not okay on Facebook. You will literally get barred for saying that, but you can post racist memes. That's okay. But people get blocked all the time for saying men are trash or men are garbage. Literally that phrase gets flagged on Facebook and people get put in Facebook jail for like 3 days or for a week. It's happened to my friends a bunch of times.
Wow. Or
white people are trash or white people are garbage. If you say that, nope, you're in Facebook jail. Anyway, but my point being, it doesn't hurt me at all. I should hear the criticisms and go guilty, guilty, not guilty, not guilty, guilty. Like I should take that moment to go, what are they saying?
Yeah.
Yep. Got to deal with that one. And if it's not me, I don't have to say that's not me. Because you know what? If it's not me, you already know that.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, this is making me think of one other thing, and then I want to hear what Biden said.
It's so quick, it doesn't matter. But Biden said, all Biden said was he was swearing in a bunch of his people, like a whole bunch of them on Zoom all at once.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was talking about, you know, and he started to say something about, you know, respect and mutual care for each other. I don't remember the exact words. And he pretty much ended the sentence by saying, if I find that you are treating anybody disrespectfully or not, basically he said, if you disrespect another member of my staff, I will fire you immediately.
Right.
He put up a no tolerance policy. He basically said, if anybody acts like that last administration, you're fucking out. He put down a hard line. He just literally, he said basically the same thing that Carlos said. Whether it'll actually be true or whether he actually sets that tone in the room when things happen, we'll find out.
Right.
But he said, you can't do that. And that's what Carlos said. He says, you can't do that.
You can't do that. That's really good. Okay, I hear you. Yeah, and you mentioned that last time. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a really good segue actually into, I want to hear your opinion on this or your thoughts on this. Let me wind my way there as briefly as I can. So when I slid off the road the other day, again, for the third
seventh time. Yeah.
This time I slid into a fence on the outskirts of somebody's ranch. 20 seconds, I'm not even exaggerating, after I hit the fence. I told you this already?
You told me, but you haven't told the
podcast
people on this podcast.
20 seconds after sliding into the fence, there was a truck with a man. And he rolled down his window and he said, you need me to pull you out of there? And I said, I do. Yes, thank you. And it was like a miracle. He showed up just instantaneously to save me. He had the equipment on him. He hooked me to his like tow rig, whatever the fuck it's. Everybody here has one. They're, I'll pull out my toe strap. And I'm like, your toe strap? What's that mean?
That sounds like a piece of yoga equipment. But...
So he puts his toe strap in my toe hold and he starts to pull my car out and it won't go. And I get out of the car and he goes, you know what's funny? We need a bigger truck. A millisecond later, a bigger truck drives up. A millisecond, there was a bigger truck. And then the guy in the bigger truck gets out and he's like, I own this ranch. 7 people this month have slid off this road into this exact part of fence that you just slid into. My wife and I sit on the porch sometimes and make bets about how many people we're going to watch slide into our fence today. He said, I saw you slide into my fence and I'm here to help. Do you need help? And the guy says, the first guy says, yeah, we needed a bigger truck. Your truck is perfect. He goes, yeah, I gotcha. He hooks his toe hold up to my toe strap, or whatever the fuck it is. And he pulls me right the fuck out and says the nicest, she was like, take a breath. You're okay. And by the way, no scratches on my car. I slid from the left front corner of my car, slammed into a wood and barbed wire fence. Not a single dent. What the fuck? Miracles are real. Brand new car. Would have been real upset if it had been a problem. Anyway, pulls me out, gives me a hug, says, hey, you live up just a mile up there. I'm your neighbor. Anything you ever need, anything. Don't think twice. And he got all serious. He's like, do not think twice. You knock on my door and I will help you. Whatever you need. Snowplow. If you're going away for a few nights. I mean, he was like in my grill about being helpful.
I will fucking help you, God damn it.
So then I drive away, feeling so taken care of, so loved and supported by these wonderful men who helped me out. And it so happened that I had my cat in a bag in the back seat because I was on my way to take her to her vet appointment. So I have the dog freaking out in the front seat. The cat is meow, meow, meow in the back seat. We make our way. She gets her booster shot. Everything goes great for the rest of the day. Later the next day, I decide to buy that guy whose ranch it is a bottle of wine and take it to his house with a thank you letter because he made my day so deep that I was like, this guy needs to know. He like really made somebody's day. So I drive into his ranch, huge vistas of the most beautiful mountain views you've ever seen, vast landscape of white snow, gorgeous ranch house in the distance, horses over here on the right, Highlanders, North Highlanders, big, ox-like, bull-like cow things with fur to the ground on the left. It's like I'm in Shangri-La heaven, amazing. And I round the corner to his house and there's a fucking Trump flag.
Yep. I knew this was coming. I could feel it coming. God damn it. I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what to fucking do with that.
Big American flag and then a big Trump flag. And I'm like, ah. And then immediately I was like, this is fucking fantastic. Because this is an opportunity for me to embrace my unity preachings and be nice to a man that was nice to me. This man was very nice to me and made my goddamn day and saved my physical self, my body. He's helped me physically survive the winter. So I'm driving up and I'm going, oh my God, oh no. Then I'm going, okay, I don't care. I love him. I ring the doorbell. He doesn't answer. Nobody's home. I leave the wine with the letter. Thank you. Oh my God, you made my day. You say, I feel so thank you. And I live, it's got my phone number. Please be in touch. Enjoy the wine. La, la, la. Now, I felt good about that because I got to live into this thing I've talked about on here a bunch of times, which is like, how do we hold the tension between I don't agree and it's not okay with me that Trump did what he did. And I don't agree with you for voting for him because you could have destroyed this entire country. That's my personal point of view, mixed with, but you just saved my physical well-being and are a nice man.
Yeah.
Those two things coexist. He's actually a nice guy in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I got to live into the unity principle of like, I'm going to love my neighbor as myself. I'm going to be generous to this man and not let his politics make me turn around and what am I going to not leave him the wine because he's a Trumper? No, I'm not going to not do that. I'm not. Now, I was telling this is a long story, I'm sorry, but I was telling a friend, and we are not opening the records.
Okay.
I don't want to.
Because they aren't doing their job lately anyway.
Yeah, I'm mad at them.
Damn it. And again, now it's going to sound like I'm being dismissive, but honestly,
no.
Was that an okay tone to take? And I mean,
yes, no, it's okay. Now that I understand, no,
yeah.
Totally good. And I needed to just be sad. And now that you let me be, I got a sense
all
of
good
humor again. So thank you.
Good.
Sometimes you gotta be sad to find your light.
Yeah.
right?
I want to laugh sometimes. Fuck you. Like,
God damn it. So I was telling a female friend about this this is the friend who I thought was mad at me, but wasn't. I'm telling her about this, and she was saying to me this idea, and this is the thing I want to hear your thoughts on. She said, anyone who voted for Trump. Okay, wait, sorry, I have to back up. Just one more step. I was sharing with her also after I left the bottle of the wine for the Trump man. The Trump man. I was telling her about this NPR study I just heard about, which maybe I've already talked to you guys about. I apologize if I'm repeating myself, where they sent, when Biden won that day, they sent a survey out to like 6,000 Democrats or something that said, Biden just won. How likely or willing would you be on a scale of 1 to 10 to reach out to a Trump supporter and let them know you feel for them and you're sorry because they're probably having a hard day, and just express empathy for them? How likely would you be? And they said it was 100%. The response was a vehement, aggressive, fuck no, I'm not going to reach out to them and express empathy to them because the person they are sad about losing is such a fucking maniac hate monger. They're not worth my empathy. They don't get my empathy.
right.
Now, I am very conflicted on this point. I am very like, no, I really think as a people, we have to practice radical empathy or we're never going to change the system we're in. System is the problem with race, with gender, and with bipartisan fighting. We're never going to be able to hear each other if we can't express basic human empathy for one another.
Yeah.
He is a megalomaniacal hate monger, ass fuck face. I get the point of, I get it when people say, no, I'm not going to, no, but I can't support it. So I was talking to my friend about this and she said, no. And this is what I want your thoughts on. She said, no. You don't express empathy to people who are racist. I said, what do you mean? She goes, necessarily, this is her point of view, by voting for Trump or being sad that he's not in office, you are necessarily racist. And I was like, wait, what? She goes, because if your point of view is, I voted for Trump because of tax reasons or because of money reasons or whatever your reasons are, and you by voting for him, you're saying it's okay to me that he has racist policies and he supports, what are they called? The KKK people?
Right.
It's okay to me that
the
he
KKK
does that.
people are called the KKK.
Well, but there's a word I want. Oh, white supremacists.
There you go. Okay.
The hood people, the people with the hood.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. She's saying, if you vote for him, you're saying it's okay enough to me that he supports white supremacy that I'll just put that aside and support these other concepts. And by putting it aside, you are necessarily don't care about Black people. You care about your money more than Black people, which necessarily makes
there it is
racist.
Yeah. If the policy, I mean, I kind of, sorry, I'll let you finish the thought because I want to extrapolate.
No, I've been sitting with it all day today with this notion, because my knee-jerk response to that is like, yeah, but what if you had a person, I'm thinking of like a housewife in fucking North Dakota who hasn't gotten educated on, who knows nothing about Trump's racism, doesn't pay attention, kind of like isn't thinking about race, but is thinking about other crazy shit, whatever she's thinking about.
Right.
And votes for him for those reasons. Can we call her a racist if she just voted for him for these other reasons and never thought it through?
Right.
Now, I'm not saying it's okay to be ignorant and not think it through. I don't support that. But I don't know that we can get away with calling her a racist, except that she is making an inherently racist choice.
Right. Racism is sort of it's not really a passive state. It's in anything you support or do. It's in policy. It's in the structure. So yeah, it's a tough one because I do believe that, no, I don't think people necessarily go through the thought process of, I mean, some people do. Some people probably go through the thought process of like, yeah, I know he's a racist, and I know he makes fun of disabled people, but he also is apparently anti-abortion. So that is more important. So literally, you're saying that it is more important to me, or like my money is more important to me than Black people or women. You know,
right.
Than their rights as human beings. And I do think some people do actually make the calculated decision because they do know. And I do think there are also people, I think the most common version is, no, he's not a racist. No, la, 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 la. He's not a racist because I need him not to be.
Right.
Because I need to have this other apparent policy, which of course we also know, let's not fucking get it twisted. He doesn't fucking care about or take action on the issues you even think that you're in favor of.
That's right.
But except for a few things.
Right.
So I think the most common version
racist.
Yes, absolutely. Because they have the fucking information. It's there. It's been given to them 10 different ways. And even if it came to them in a way they didn't like, fuck you. Fact is, you continue to support something that racism is action. Racism is in action.
Yeah.
So you continue to advocate for someone whose policies are oppressive and crushing of other people. So yes. So you're racist, even if you're not aware of your racism.
Okay. I guess how I would frame it, and I am of the opinion that language, semantics, and how we frame things actually really, really, really matters.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I would frame it like that person is making a racist choice. And the reason I would frame it that way is because I myself, as a liberal who always thought I wasn't racist and then woke up to my latent, inherent systemic racism about 3 years ago, and then even more so about 1 year ago, I can see that, okay, I have made a lot of fucking racist choices through my inaction.
Yeah.
Through my silence, through my privileged choices that I didn't realize at the time were racist. I do now realize they were fucking racist. But I'm not a racist. I made a lot of racist choices. And I guess I feel like that's pretty important distinction, because if we say someone is a racist, don't we mean, and I'm very open to being very wrong about all of this, but don't we mean that, like, I guess to me, I would imagine that would mean they are someone who is actively, consciously choosing against a race of people through dislike or hatred of that race.
I think the danger of sort of, in a sense, letting people off the hook if they're not a hood-wearing Klansman is like, for me, it's a motivating force to acknowledge my racism, because me too. Camus said
racism is different than being a racist.
No, yes, but
okay,
if you allow yourself the out, then you can stop. Well, then, I'm not a racist. I mean, basically, if you say I'm not a racist, but nothing good comes at the end of that sentence. Because it always means, but I do think that, blah, blah, blah. But that's a different subject. It's a semantic conversation that we're having. But the point being, if by being not an active racist, quotes around it, means great, then my support for these policies doesn't matter because I'm not doing the racism, then you're off the hook and you no longer, like, you have to be able to, yes, and people don't ever want to be called a racist, so they stop listening.
Yeah, but I'm saying, okay, no, that's all obvious to me. Like, you can't use your fear of your own racist behavior as a way to avoid taking action that needs to be taken. What I'm trying to look at here is, okay, I just can only use myself as an example, right? I'm too white privileged to not have some systemic, unconscious, inherent race biases. They come up, they're in there.
Yeah.
So then it is my job to face that and own that and make new choices that are anti-racist, as we've been learning, right? I have to take action in an anti-racist way in order to be not racist.
Yeah. what's his name? Damn it. Oh shit. Can't think of his name right now. Think of it in a second.
Google it. We have time.
Yeah, I'll Google it real quick. He basically says there's no such thing as not racist. You're either racist or you're anti-racist. And actually that also refers to individuals, but it actually more refers to policy than anything else.
The guy who wrote the book.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is if I'm not actively being anti-racist, then
you're a racist.
Then I'm being racist.
Yeah. Okay. So we can say you're being racist. You're existing in a state of racism.
I think that's very different than I am a racist. The am versus the being, it's different.
Well, I mean, and that speaks to the same as being an anti-racist. You can't just be non-racist because that's a state of being. You have to be doing. So it's all about doing more than anything else. And doing includes supporting policies or supporting someone who creates policies that continue white supremacy. So, I mean, nobody is actually anything. I mean, we could actually get into that discussion.
Yes.
Nobody is. I mean, I think we've talked about E prime as a language choice.
Yeah.
If you take the word to be out of your language, you get way more precise with your language.
That's correct. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm pointing to, is that there is no amness about it. There's choices that are racist and there's choices that are anti-racist.
Right.
But I do think there are people on this earth who identify as like, I hate Black people, or
Absolutely.
I want Black people to be disempowered, or people of color in general to be disempowered, or because they're less than.
Right.
I am a racist.
Right. They'll claim that identity, and that's a space they're okay with living in.
Yeah.
And those people we have issues with them on a one. But the people I actually am more concerned with those who say I'm not racist, but I support Trump.
Right.
Then no, that's not true. Because you're existing, you're actively supporting racist policy creation and enforcement.
Okay.
So you are engaged in the world of racism, we could say. But you're
So then you agree with my friend with what she said?
For the most part, yes. Yeah. And of course, there's always gradations within that. There's,
of course,
there are people who literally don't know any better. But at a certain point, I stop having as much empathy as I'd like to for people, because it's 90% of that is going to be willful. It's willfully, I don't do politics. Bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not a thing you can, I don't think you can say that.
I throw my hands up at this idea.
You do. It's Ibram X. Kendi. I just want to make sure we get, obviously say the person's name. I get terrible with names. I was today.
Thank you for the conversation though, because it's I've been sitting with it all day, just that one idea. And I'm like, is there a lack of empathy in that idea? Like if we can boldly, if we can paint with that broad of a stroke and say, if you voted for Trump, you are being racist, or you are a racist, however, whichever being or whichever.
Right.
Then there's no curiosity in that. There's no empathy in it. There, I would tend to approach it like I would want to talk. You can't, but I would want to talk to each individual and be like, so do you recognize that by voting for him, you're supporting these racist policies? Are you okay being kind of racist?
Yeah, I think you can with a lot of people. I think about my best friend's dad, who's the most Christ-loving person I know. And in that deep, I live with the love of Christ in my heart, that kind of.
Yeah.
But he is definitely not an evangelist,
evangelical.
He's evangelical, 100%, totally. And the evangelicals love Trump for whatever reason. And he has been his son has stopped having the conversations with him because he's just I don't know what to do. This man who speaks about the love of Christ and the true meaning of heart and love and how to be, blah, 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 and would never in a million years think he was racist. I love the Indian people. I go to their festivals. He lives in a state with a lot of Native American presence. And they're really good people and they're hard workers, that kind of thing. He's that kind of racist, which is I don't burn crosses, but I think a lot of people don't even assume that their level of non-hatred. So that I'm not a racist because I don't hate those people actively with my brain in the front of it.
But so wait, but you're saying.
But my point is, I would like to talk to him about it because I think it would be very interesting to go. And I know from my friend, he's had a few conversations with him where they just will say, "Oh no, that's not true. He didn't say that. Nope, that's fake news." And like literally keep pushing back. Here's a direct exact example. Like, boom. Here's a fucking video clip. Oh, that's taken out of context. Like there is a massive amount of restructuring of reason in order to keep defending the position because you're anti-abortion, for example.
Yeah.
I think that would be a big one for a lot of the evangelicals. Biden is theoretically pro-choice or anti-life, or the fuck they call it, pro-abortion, because he's a Democrat. So I have to hang on to this idea that maybe this guy who said once in an interview that he was anti-abortion, though he's probably had 17 himself, or the women he's done terrible things with, but there's this constant restructuring of reality to defend the position they need to hold.
Yeah.
And that at a certain point, you can almost call it like mental illness. Like I want to have empathy for the mental illness part of it, while saying, no, but you don't get to make policy based on that mental illness.
Right.
Because that is where that is racism. Like that is racism, that is misogyny, that is oppression in action. Is when you willfully, even if it's not conscious because you're not all the way in control of your own reality.
Something on that point that I was saying back to my friend today as we were kind of back and forthing on this. And I said, I realize as I'm saying this to you, I said to her, it may be the case that I'm looking for a way. I'm Katie Rubin here. I'm looking for a way that, in other words, this is hard to articulate. A sentence I said to her was something along the lines of, if I can't find a way to find empathy for these people, then I have to confront that there are 7 million people, or whatever the number is, of
70 million. Yeah.
That voted for him.
Yeah.
Who are insane.
Yeah.
Or racist.
Right. Either willfully, truthfully, fully informed in their faculties and horrible as a result, or in some way not in control of their faculties in a way that makes them equal to the horribly racist.
Right. Either you're willfully ignorant, you're not willfully ignorant. Not willfully, but like you're ignorant, or you're crazy, or you're a heartless asshole. Like if I have to put what's the number? 700 million?
70 million. 70
million people in that camp. It's hard to move forward.
Yeah.
Because then I have to believe, like what I know about that group of humans is that you can't really change them.
Yeah.
Like, in other words, if we're talking about people who are actually like willfully ignorant, don't want to know, don't care, aren't going to change their point of view, people who are crazy, or people who want to maintain their status no matter what it means for other people. Like, I want racism to exist so that I can be on top because I'm white or whatever. None of those people, generally speaking, like 99.9% of the time out of 100, you can't change those people. I know that through the core of me. And if
that's what young people are for.
Changing those people?
No, for just continuing to grow up. And those people fucking die out. I mean, you think about like the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s and policy that was forced on people.
Yeah.
Enforced. Like we legislated thought. You're right. We did. We didn't legislate thought. We legislated action, though. We said, you can't use this language in certain settings. You can't treat people this way in certain ways. You can think it all you want, but you can't use it against people. And they legislate. So basically, it's like they're legislating how you feel about other people. They didn't change the people then, but through a practice of those policies being enforced, the next generation coming up was less inflamed by that legacy. They were less, they received less of that legacy. So the next generation of people, I mean, I'm making shit up now, but like, say you have like, 200 active clan members and they have children. And then those kids are growing up in a pretty racist setting. So they're being programmed in a certain way. But then they're going into a world which is saying, actually, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. And they might be resentful at that moment because like, fuck this. My daddy told me this is how it should be. And those people have kids and those kids grow up in a world in which they really can't say that shit. Now, 25% of those kids are still going to be like, my granddaddy said this and my daddy said that, and I'm going to hang on to that. But 75 of those kids are just going to finally be like, look, the world around me does not support what my granddaddy said because the laws are saying this. So slowly the laws do actually change the next generation's behavior. So everything we do is not really about changing my best friend's dad's mind. It is about changing policy, public, which does ultimately change character of the population, but in the future. That's my uninformed psychological philosophy. Don't know how true it is.
I guess okay, I'm going to be, now we're flipping roles because I'm going to be the cynical one.
Great.
And you're the one with the utopian vision of the future.
I barely can hang on to that utopian vision, but I'm going to hang on to it for a sec. Go ahead.
I like that you said it. So I guess if that were true, how would there be 70 million people that voted for Trump right now, given that the 60s and 70s happened?
There would have been 90 million, 100 million.
Okay. So you're saying it like bit by bit weeds.
So it's the long game. We were talking about this morning. I was facilitating a surge action hour today for the first time. Good for you. Second time. I've been becoming a facilitator. Wow. So I'm having this conversation a lot, but that it's a long game. Like signing petitions is like, really? I'm going to sign a petition to have this person released? What good does that do? Well, it's you signing the petition and all the other of us signing the petition. And then another petition happens next week. And finally, enough flood of conversation happens constantly that one person gets released. And that sucks. That is a lot of work for one person. But then next time around, that becomes policy that you release medically vulnerable people as opposed to, pushing against that policy. So everything is a long game. You can't look for the immediate result, unfortunately.
That's good. Thank you for that.
I wanted to say something a while ago, and it just had to do with a quote that changed my life.
Yeah.
Back, it's what made me a vegetarian for 15 years, but then I gave up on that because I got bored. But the book, The Plague by Albert Camus, which I highly fucking recommend.
Yeah.
Deep ass book. There's one chapter in particular where these two men are having a conversation, and the conversation they have changed my brain.
Okay.
Completely. And the thing I remember he said is, he's the son of an executioner, this main character, and he's talking about dealing with that. My father kills people.
Right.
What he does. And he said he realized at a certain point that we are all murderers, and it is only through a constant and consistent work against that blood on our hands that we ameliorate any of the sort of guilt for that. He said it way better. And whereas that could sound really depressing, like, great, so we're just all murderers and we can barely wash any of the blood off our hands. That was really empowering to me at the time, because what it said was, oh, you're dirty and your actions matter. So everything you do helps to push against the tide of your own guilt. So I am racist. So because I am racist, I can actively engage in anti-racism. Like, okay. It helps my state to do anti-racist action, because of the moment I stop, I slip back to being a murderer, as it were. It's a weird balance of philosophy.
I guess in a way, to me, that sounds like you guilt yourself into taking healthy action.
That is one way of putting it, but I don't feel guilt about it. I feel
responsibility.
responsibility. I feel like, and there's a weight that's lifted in a weird way to be said that I matter enough to do that.
I see. That makes sense.
You know?
Yep.
I am not, nobody is a non-participant.
Yeah, that's really good.
You're a participant, no matter what you think.
This is really good. This brings me to, a complex idea I want to try to articulate. I know we only have like 9 minutes left, but I'm going to try to do this.
Okay.
Before I do that, I just want to say that at this angle of the Zoom camera, I feel like my boobs look huge.
Yeah, because they're cut off. They look like they just keep going in that direction, but they don't.
Yeah.
Maybe they do. I mean, they're impressive.
Don't they look enormous right now?
I didn't want to bring up the whole period thing, but are they larger than normal right now?
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I'm not going to teach you about your own biology, but I've heard that that's a thing.
Look at them.
They're significant.
They're big. They aren't usually that big. Okay, I'm going to move on.
You didn't want Desmond to comment on your boobs?
Not really.
Okay.
Hey!
Big thumbs up from Desmond.
Oh, man.
Okay, now get into this deep philosophical conversation now that we looked at your boobs.
Oh, shit, I lost it. What were we just talking about?
I said we're all murderers and it's only to a constant. I should find the actual quote.
We're all murderers unless we work real hard, and then we're not. Oh, I know. Okay, this is hard to do. I was talking with the person I'm going to go on a date with tomorrow, and he said this thing. He's a scientist. Seems like a really nice guy. And by the way, he was referred to me through friends who I trust very much, and I did not meet him on a goddamn dating app, and I hope he's not a goddamn fucking cocksucking stalker.
Yeah.
That being said, seems like a nice dude. Believe you me, we're meeting in the light of day in a public location. He will not be coming to my house. Okay, anyway.
Good choice.
Thank you. We're talking about, he does science and he does all this like ground study, like studying the earth and the nature so that to detect if there's like chemicals in the groundwater. And I was like, wow, coming from the theater and energy healing worlds, I've always envied people who have work like your work, where it's tangible and you're every day actively doing something that benefits the world. That must feel really esteemable. Because I said to him, like, sometimes it feels like what I do, you can just throw it out the window. Like you make a play and then it's gone. And nobody, and maybe you made some people think and you made some people feel, but it's not changing the world anymore. It's gone now. And he said, I think anything you take pride in as you're doing it gives the thing meaning. It's if you take pride in it, it has value. But if you don't take pride in it, no matter what you do, you won't feel like it has value.
Right.
He's like, you could dig ditches or you could do ground science, whatever. It's not the term, but that's what I keep
ground
saying.
Science. I think that's it. I think you nailed it.
Earth, nature, ground studies. Anyway, and it really got me thinking about, this is out there, but I think there's truth in it, cattail. Self-esteem, and how when you don't have self-esteem, which by the way, I don't have any naturally. I have to like do stuff to have it. I practice it. I do spiritual work. I have healings. I go to therapy. I do work that I think matters in the world to build self-esteem. It's been a topic my whole life. It's like, I don't just organically wake up and feel like I'm pretty great. I don't have that. I was poorly parented. So I have to like prove my worth.
Definitely established that. That has been firmly established.
That I was poorly parented?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't mean to say that in a flip way. I mean that for real. Yeah. Well,
I hope I don't harp on it annoyingly, but
No. I think it's an important key point.
Okay. So when he said that to me, I thought, wow, that is such a good point. And if I had healthy self-esteem inherently, I would think that too. I would think, well, like everything I do, I take pride in because I did it.
Yeah.
Because that's how healthy self-esteem people think. And I was like, wow, it's almost like not having healthy self-esteem is dangerous to the population.
Yeah, because then you do all kinds of shit to boost yourself. And That's where dominance comes from. It's like, if you don't have healthy self-esteem, I've got to put myself over another person.
Or put myself under. It's either above or below.
Right. But I have to deal with
shit. Yeah. And I'm going to deprecate, or I'm like the best and I'm going to compensate.
Ooh, deprecation versus compensation, both a result of a similar problem.
That's right. And that's where I think it's actually quite a deep question to answer it when you say, to think about the question, where does self-esteem come from? If you didn't have it just because if you weren't parented well, like, how do you develop self-esteem? And what I learned in the 12-step programs is they taught us, and I want to push back against this idea a little bit, that if you do esteemable acts, you gain esteem. I do experience some of that. Like when I go out of my way to be kind to someone, like driving that wine bottle to that guy's house, it sounds really small. I felt so good about myself after that, because I didn't have to be nice to him, and I did. And that really builds something in me. But I'll tell you something else. And this is going to sound really sad, but I'm okay with it. Like, I'm not falling apart, even if I cry and fall apart and I have sad things about my life. That action that I did with him, it's so gone now. I don't feel the self-esteem now.
Right.
I felt it then. I'm right back to ground zero where I got nothing going for me. Just alone in this house, I got nothing going for me. So every day, what I'm doing is taking actions that I know while I'm taking them, and for a few minutes after I take them, I will feel esteemable. Maybe a couple hours.
Yeah.
And then I just start all over again.
So yeah, it becomes tied to the action and not to the soul.
And even with the spiritual work, like, I thought my theory was, when I got into all this healing shit, my theory was I would attain some like static state at some point wherein I knew for sure I was like lovable and worthy and had all this esteem. But I have discovered I have not yet met another person who's worked as hard as I have, or worked harder than I have to try to get better. I'm not saying I'm the best at it. I'm saying it's rare that I meet a person who's spent as many hours as I have just trying to get okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not bragging about it. I'm saying it's actually quite sad that, given how hard I've worked, I'm still not there. And that not having esteem, like, if you look at that, it was one sentence this guy said to me on the phone, but the whole difference in our realities are so different. He works like all day in a lab analyzing soil. I'd be bored out of my mind if I had to analyze soil all fucking day. But this guy is getting so much esteem and pride and self-valuing out of looking through his little fucking microscope. I have like hours of healing under my belt and years of healing and helping thousands of people, and play after stand-up hour after stand-up hour. And I felt shitty all day until I delivered a glass of wine to a man I don't know. And now I'm back to shitty. Now, I don't mean shitty like depressed, can't get out of bed shitty. I just mean there is a difference between someone who has just active, healthy self-esteem and someone who's constantly trying to build it.
Yeah.
And when it pierced the veil of something for me when he and I had that. This was last night when he said that to me. I went, oh my God, it is very profound to think about the power self-esteem, or lack thereof, has in a person's life.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have in me I have this weird drive to like get better and get there and try to heal and all that. If I didn't have that, I had a healer say to me once, he worked on me the first time, and he said, wow, you should be a homeless 800-pound heroin addict on the street. He's like, what I'm looking at in your system and the trauma you have, and you should be homeless, 800-pound, like obese, homeless, prostitute, heroin addict on the street. So you're doing great, Katie. If you're worried about like, I only made $1,000 this month, like, you got to understand you're doing real well for what you're carrying. And then I worked with him for like 6-7 years. And there came a day where he was like, I think you're good. My point being, I've got some weird drive in me that says, I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. No matter what, I'm getting better. And that gets me up in the morning. I go, well, what am I going to do? Lay here and just feel shitty about my low self-esteem? No, I'm going to go try to fucking get some self-esteem. Let's do some things for some people. That works. let's build a play. People seem to clap and smile when they do see the plays that I do. And then they are happy, and that builds my esteem for a minute. And then the world is better. And what am I going to lay here and not do it? But when I think about just the little difference between what am I going to lay here and not do it versus like, I'm not going to do it, how easy it is to flip from one to the other, then you wind up with literally every problem we have in the world comes from some low self-esteem dude or woman who, because she has no self-esteem, has to compensate or deprecate.
Yeah.
And then we're back to our first conversation about how the fuck people voted for this clown.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say is that you actually don't know what this guy's actual experience, what you're experiencing as esteem from him is a framing you've put on him. So you may be trying to attain something that you have envisioned exists for someone else.
Except
that may not actually be a thing.
I hear you accept that. I hear that in theory, but I've seen this enough with people. I've seen this over and over in my life where I'll meet people and be like, that guy just seems kind of content and like rolling with the punches and not angry at the world and happy with his job. And if I had his job, I'd want to kill myself. And how is he just content with his weird little job? How?
I'm laughing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, it's I've seen this enough times in my life to understand. And I've asked everyone I've seen this with many questions and I've explored it. And there are people with esteem out there who don't need to like prove anything to get their esteem. They just have it.
The reason I was laughing is I was just today watching a rerun of Community. I don't know if you remember that show from.
Yeah.
I fucking think that show is so funny. And there was a guy that Joel McHale's character, who's all about his ego, was like, why is he so attractive? I don't get it. He's not that good looking. He's just perfect. And it was killing him. And then he found out that the guy had a bolt hit his head and like giving him a brain injury, which destroyed the part of his brain that felt shame.
Wow.
And as a result, he was fine. He worked at a carnival for 20 years. He was fine with that. I'm not ashamed of working at a carnival. So why not enjoy working at a carnival? And I was like, that shit's profound as fuck.
Yep.
You took away shame, and then esteem can exist. Once you take out the shame, that it's an interesting thought that shame's the source of all of the problems behind not having esteem.
Yeah.
At least according to Dan Harmon, creator of that show.
No, that's really brilliant, I think. And yeah, it's very humbling to me to admit all this here on the podcast because like, I hold all this space to help other people and I'm supposed to be this healer and supposed to have attained some kind of whatever. And, I'm also a real serious human being who comes from not a lot of great places.
That's powerful.
And you know what else I want to say that maybe hopefully will help people even more is to say that like what they gave me was money and access to status positioning. In other words, I went to like a very fancy undergraduate college that's very expensive. And I just applied to the Harvard Divinity program, as you know, because I feel entitled to go there. I don't think like that's crazy. Like, sure, they'll let me in. Why wouldn't they? I mean, I have my doubts and you heard me. I've said like, I don't know, fuck if they'll let me in. Maybe not at all. But my point is like the kind of privilege I was given did do some things for me that have helped a lot and that matter. They gave me a sort of healthy amount of entitlement that like balances. I mean, truly my therapist, I've told you this, she talks to me a lot about you have to have a certain amount of healthy entitlement, whoever you are.
Yeah.
Otherwise
just to survive.
You'll lay in bed all day. If you're not entitled to anything, you won't do anything. So they gave me that, right? And it's not nothing. It's a lot, but it's not, it's also not everything. It's far from everything. Like when I look at my friends who had like healthy, loving parents and they loved each other and then they loved the kids, those people I know are like a lot of times not doing big, impressive shit in the world. Sometimes they are. They're just like raising a family and having a job and hugging each other a lot. And they're so happy. And they get on the phone and they're like, hey, I knitted you a hat. And I'm like, And I'm so excited to send it to you. And I'm like, you really are, aren't you? That's doing it for you. They're good. They're good. They don't need to do big fancy shit to find fucking value in themselves. They're just love each other and have a baby and then they eat food. Then it's fine.
They're clearly not threes. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Well, this has been a good talk.
I found the quote and I kind of want to read it. Maybe just, we don't even have to talk about it. It could just be the last thing we hear today, maybe.
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting. Let me just find it.
I'm thrilled.
Because this has to, and it's about an infection too. The plague is about a plague. So it's actually kind of relevant here.
Good. And if nothing else, just to sneak this in, I want to say this has been so therapeutic for me. I feel so much better than I felt when we got on the call.
I'm so glad.
I love you guys so much. I'm so grateful to you for being here and us doing this. And if all this does for other people is give someone else permission to just melt down and be a person, that's not small.
That ain't nothing.
So
hopefully people have someone that they can do that with, because that's pretty fucking important.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This isn't short, but I think it's worthy. It's actually fucking deep. I might cry when I read it.
Yay.
So the guy is a volunteer health worker in this plague-stricken town.
Okay.
In the 30s, I think.
Yeah.
His name is Taru. And he says, that too is why this epidemic has taught me nothing new, except that I must fight it at your side. I know positively, yes, Ryu, I can say that I know the world inside out, as you may see, that each of us has the plague within him. No one on earth is free from it. And I know too that we must keep endless watch on ourselves, lest in a careless moment we breathe in someone else's face and fasten the infection on him. What's natural is the microbe. All the rest, health, integrity, purity, if you like, is a product of the human will. Wow. Of a vigilance that must never falter. The good man, the man who infects hardly anyone, is the man who has the fewest lapses of attention. And it needs tremendous willpower, a never-ending tension of the mind to avoid such lapses. Yes, Ryu, it's a wearying business being plague-stricken, but it's still more wearying to refuse to be it. That's why everybody in the world today looks so tired. Everybody is more or less sick of plague, but that is also why some of us, those who want to get the plague out of their system, feel such desperate weariness. A weariness from which nothing remains to set us free except death. It's actually a more terrifying quote than I remember it being. But I think it speaks to almost everything we talked about today.
It was beautiful. Thank you. It reminds me of I had a conversation with Chad recently, who we had on the podcast. If listeners remember that episode.
Chad is featured on episode 35. Oops, you got shit on your shoes.
We were talking the other day about, he came over and I was saying to him, we were doing a little healing work, trading some energy work. And I said, I used to think doing this healing work shit was about attaining some state of happiness all the time. And now I feel like really what I got to is attaining a state of present connectedness to the reality of what is.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, Katie, life is actually pretty sad. And I was like, I think I was in too much pain in my younger years to be able to face that truth.
Yeah.
But now that there's so much pain not with my body anymore, ironically, now that I'm liberated from so much pain, I'm able to face how sad, and as you just said with that quote, terrifying life is. Presence.
But also that we all carry the plague, as the metaphor is, and that as a result, we're in it together. I would love it if more of us fought against it,
Yeah.
If that plague is racism, if that plague is the plague, if that plague is COVID, if that plague is sadness, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that we have, but that we're all in this, we are all kind of doing, I'm in it with you.
But even that, I would say, I'm glad you're in it with me. And what if it doesn't even have to not be sad?
Yeah.
It is sad and you're in it with me. And that's what makes the sadness bearable.
Yes. That's, I think, the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we do the work.
Yeah. I love you.
I love you too.
I love you, Des. Thank you for letting me be a mess today.
Look, you're just doing the work.
Can we call this episode Katie is a Mess?
We can now.
Okay. I love you.
Have an awesome day.
You too.
Or not, whatever. Be sad. It's okay too. But do your work.
Do your work.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you. By the way, am I too far away from the microphone now? Is this okay? Okay.
That was a Sounds Awesome production.